Good evening, our lovely viewers of Genvode Media. If it is your first time to be onto this channel, I would ask you politely to please subscribe to our channel. The breaking news that I have for you this evening is that the former statesman, head of state, Zambian government, and the sixth president of the nation will be buried in South Africa. This has come up after the negotiations between the government and the Lungu family failed. Remember, his body was supposed to be repatriated back to Zambia on the 18th this month. It was a Wednesday, but the South African army kept waiting until it was 1 o'clock, even the private jet being organized and ready, but nothing could be happening, and the whereabouts of the body could not even be seen anywhere close to the Lansenia airport in Johannesburg. So having the president of Zambia, the current president Hakainde Hichilema, having declared that the national mourning has officially closed yesterday on the 19th. So the Lungu family has come up with a statement whereby they say the late president will be buried in South Africa. The Lungu family call upon and appreciate the support given by the Zambians from home, together with the South African government, in all the logistics that were availed to them. They really appreciate, but they could not take back the body of the former statesman. If you are a politician, have you ever thought of the fact that politics can make you be buried in a foreign land? Have you ever thought of it? Because as it stands right now, it is politics that is failing the family, together with the government, to take back the body of the former statesman. Because during the previous sittings, they seemed to have come to an agreement whereby the body of the late statesman will be taken back to Zambia, and then after buried and buried in we actually be accorded a state funeral. But as it stands now, nothing is going to happen. You as a politician, irrespective of what post you hold at a moment, have you ever thought of this moment whereby your body will be just buried in a foreign land? But what could be the cause of that? Not that you went into exile, because we've seen very many presidents, very many former presidents being buried in a foreign land, and it can be understood that they left their countries in fight for their life. But you as a politician, have you ever thought of that moment whereby you will be buried into a foreign land because of politics? So now the Lungu family, they know very well, they gave the terms to the government of Zambia, and the Zambian government could not comply with what is being said. They set the pathways of the former statesman, then the government said the other words. They come to an agreement. The agreement between the family and the government says something else, but then the government acts separately. So I believe as politicians, they always change, and they were looking at this point, because just imagine, next year it is the general election in Zambia, and at the moment, whoever is aspiring for any position in Zambia, of course, they are either being nominated or they have already started the campaigns. So if So the family of the family of the late president looked at all this, because perhaps if he died maybe after next year, after the general elections, perhaps it would be something different. But then, it being that next year there is the general elections, and politicians can use that moment to either make the current regime very bad, or if the government itself, to make itself very good. So it is either way. So when the family looked at all these scenarios, they chose to keep the body of the late president Edgar Lungu in South Africa, and there is where the former president will be buried. To you, listening into this now, you could be asking yourself, will it still be a state funeral? A state funeral is only accorded to either the presidents or former presidents of a particular country and the outstanding members of the public. It could be a priest, it could be a religious leader, it could be a cultural leader. But for the case of Edgar Lungu came into South Africa as a private person, meaning that the time of his death, much as he was a former statesman, they had good terms with the government of South Africa, this will be a private funeral, and South Africa can try to make hope in any way they can, but not according Edgar Lungu a state funeral, because this time around this is a different case whereby a former president has to be accorded a state funeral. It was only possible if his body was repatriated back to Zambia, but now it being that he will be buried in South Africa, there is no state funeral for Edgar Lungu, the 6th president of Zambia. The family is grateful for those that stayed with them during the hard times of mourning the late president, and they're also grateful to the government of South Africa for the support and encouragement that they gave in during this time. As I talk right now, just a few hours back, the program of the funeral will be communicated. The program of the funeral will be communicated to the nationals of South Africa and the nationals of Zambia. Whoever will be able to attend. So this, remember, most of the times if a president dies or a former president dies, different delegations from different countries can come in honor of the deceased. But then this time round, it is a private funeral whereby whoever that will come in for the funeral will come as a private person. So, as Genvo the Media, I assure you that until this story has come to an end, we shall bring you all the relevant information, all the updates until this story is coming to an end. But as of now, I can assure you the body of the former president will not be repatriated back to Zambia. The body won't be repatriated back to Zambia, and he will be buried in South Africa. This makes Edgar Lungu one of the presidents buried in a foreign country because of politics. You know, with politics, anything is possible. But then, that is the update that I had to give to you before the end of the day. Have a good evening. We love you.